Hey guys, what is up? It's Kat here, and our final round of reviews for Star Wars Visions episodes 7 through 9. And truly, they saved some of the most emotional episodes for last. If you're asking me, honestly, they got me good. Truly, I rewatched TOB1 because I was like, this is such a cute, enjoyable episode, very rewatchable, and I was like, let me just rewatch that one and then I'll jump in and finish the final 3 episodes, 7, 8, and 9, and they really saved some of the intense for the end here. Here I am saying this entire time, oh, there's a great balance between lighthearted and then emotional and intense and violent content. I think the lightheartedness and the playfulness ended after TOB1 because the final 3 episodes seriously packed a punch, and I felt the most emotional during these episodes. I almost cried during one of them. My eyes were pretty watery. So without further ado, let's get in because I have a lot I want to discuss with these 3, some of my favorite animation, some of my favorite scores so far in the show. So let's just jump right into it with episode 7, The Elder. Now, this entire time, you guys know I have been raving about the soundtrack in every single episode, and specifically the incredibly heightened themes and music during more of the battle scenes, the confrontations between protagonist and antagonist. You know, each of these lightsaber duels that we've witnessed so far has had a pretty good score in the background to keep it intense, but I think this episode was very unique and different in the fact that it was, well, firstly, I was just so uneasy during this episode. I think the lack of music made it feel more heightened. I don't know, it made me feel like more, like what's gonna happen? And specifically during this confrontation with the Master and the Elder Sithly man, there was not much music in this entire episode. There was no music at all during that final battle other than the steady beat of just a lone drum in the background, and the entire time I was just like, I'm scared. This episode had me truly on edge. I was just nervous the entire time. I don't know what it is. There was a lot more drama in this episode. I feel like it has felt the most different out of all of them by far. Just a few main characters, way more conversational, way more leaning into their dynamic through the Padawan and the Masters, their conversations there. The first 5 minutes is them just kind of discussing what it's like to be a Jedi, what the Outer Rim is like. It's kind of just, I don't know, that felt very different. I was like, when's something gonna happen? They're having all of these deep conversations, but with that heightened focus on developing their conversations and their dynamic, I definitely felt like this relationship was the most developed, or we saw the most enhanced look into their dynamic as master and apprentice here in this episode. I don't know, I felt very much connected to them and invested in their relationship, focusing on their relationship so that they could really get you in the feels at the end there when they fake you out and you think the Padawan dies, but he doesn't. But yes, I would say out of all of the characters, perhaps with the exception of Kyra and her father in episode 5, and with Lope and Ocho in the following episode, I feel like these two, this master and apprentice, had the most fleshed out and the most emphasis on their relationship. Real quick, can we just talk about how amazing this man's hair is? I loved his side bang moment, totally transporting me back to my 6th grade self when I thought that looked good. Anyway, I felt, again, just uneasy during this episode, and I think it was due to the intensity and the drama of their conversations. The lack of music just made me feel nervous, and just obviously it felt ominous. I feel like, I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I was on edge. I was concerned and worried, where's this old man? Where is he hiding? When's he gonna come out? And that tension in this episode really built up to this final standoff between the Master and the Elder. Again, after they totally fake you out, I legit thought that they had killed the Padawan. This is by far the most serious of all the episodes. They just killed off the Padawan. But then they faked us out. I literally wrote in my notes, oh, thank gosh, he's alive. had a sigh of relief. But yeah, I think the animation and the setting in this episode, perhaps it was again the setting that helped to establish a little bit more of an ominous, eerie vibe. They're on this like cloudy, marshy, mountainous planet. The mountains, by the way, like when they were hiking up to the top, reminded me of Lord of the Rings for a little bit, split second there. So the animation in this one, at least with the figures, the portraiture, the rendering of the characters, that has been my favorite by far. I think the portraiture, at least, I wrote in my notes, I was like, this is my favorite animation, but then I watched episode 8 and I was like, oh my gosh, this might be my favorite animation. I loved the way the Master's green lightsaber blade was just like steaming in the rain as he ignited it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be a good showdown. And this is honestly, I want to just rewatch this episode the most. I need to rewatch this again. Honestly, this might be my favorite one. I feel like it had the most unique mood to it. They really like established a kind of eerie, mysterious, scary vibe if you're like me and you're easily scared. And I'm very glad that the Padawan turned out to be alive, because I truly don't think I would have emotionally bounced back from that, and my emotions were not ready for the following 2 episodes. And with that, let's jump right into episode 8, Lope and Ocho. Might be my favorite episode, I'm not gonna lie. I loved this episode. And this is the one that almost made me cry, friends. This one got me. Before we get into that, I'm just gonna say that I loved the animation in this one. This one might have my favorite animation. I loved the painterly kind of style of the landscape and the city, the way that was executed. That's just, I gravitate towards that. And you guys know that cities are kind of my favorite locations and planets within the Star Wars universe, so I loved seeing a new one, and I like seeing how they deal with the Empire, and it was a different take to see Ocho's reliance, a character like her, someone who really sees the good and the benefits of aligning with the Empire and recognizing that you kind of have to bend the knee to them in order to preserve your planet, your livelihood, your family, your home. Like, you have to side with them if you know what's good for you, I guess. And so it was interesting seeing that kind of what it did to her character there. This episode by far was the absolute most emotional and bittersweet. It goes from this adorable moment of Ocho embracing Lope and just adopting her into her family as her sister without even having her father's permission beforehand and kind of trapping him. She saves her adopted sister from the Empire, and then she joins them, and then like straight up becomes an inquisitor. Like, whatever happened to her at the end there. Oh my gosh, that like wrecked me. I was so just enthralled with this episode. Again, it felt so much longer. I would watch an entire show dedicated to this family, but it's like there's no need to, because they really fleshed it out so well within the 20-minute span of this episode. I felt so invested in these characters, invested in their family dynamic and their heritage, passing down the lightsaber from generation to generation, and how emotional it was that he is giving it to his adopted daughter, trying to just save her sister. This is what made I cried. This episode has by far moved me the most out of all of them. I truly, oh my gosh, like my emotions were not prepared for that. Was not ready for that. And the way it ended off was just so, gosh, they ended it on such a heartbreaking note. I cannot believe they did that to us. All of these other episodes have pretty much had a happy ending for the most part. This one by far had the biggest, like, I really thought she was gonna bring her sister back. The writers, the producers, they were like, oh, you thought, oh, my neck just cracked. She's completely turned to the dark side now. Like, well, not even maybe necessarily the dark side, but her eyes were glowing red. So if that doesn't scream dark side vibes, I don't know what does. But yes, and of course the music in this episode was phenomenal, specifically as the two sisters were hashing it out. The emotions of it, the intensity, the drama, I was on the brink of crying. I did not think any of these little mini like episodes were gonna get me this bad, but I think with that episode 8 here is maybe my favorite episode of all of them so far. I feel like I'm having to pick a favorite child. This is how much I have loved and enjoyed this entire series. Every single episode, they are all so different and unique. You can't even compare all of them because the art is different, the characters are different, the storyline is different, the timeline is different. Everything about it has been just so... I've loved all of their individuality and the world building that they have all provided, regardless of whether it's canon or not. But you guys know this is headcanon for me. Like, I am viewing this as canon because truly this has been some of my favorite material to come from Star Wars. I can't pick my favorite. I love every single one of them. They all bring something so different to the table. They're canon in my heart, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. And with that, let us move on to episode 9. The final episode! Akakiri. I know I am not pronouncing that correctly, so please correct me if I am wrong. I know I am wrong, so somebody help, please. I think they ended this one off on a really good note. I was not super partial to the animation style. That doesn't bother me. That doesn't sway me. Anime is anime, and I applaud anybody who can do it. This wasn't my favorite of the animation styles. Does not in any way mean that it lessened the episode for me in any way or took away from the story. But yes, this episode was definitely the most mysterious to me, and I didn't have that many notes for this one because honestly, I was just kind of enthralled and just like watching till the end, curious about this relationship here with the princess who's been exiled and her relationship with this Jedi, and felt like the most like build up to the final kind of confrontation here. I do kind of wish perhaps this is the one episode where I do feel like I would have preferred a little bit more elaboration or a little bit more time spent on the relationship here between these two characters. The end is very emotional. I mean, there's a lot of weight in this episode. This episode gets very dark very quickly, and it kind of ends the series off on like a kind of wild ride, emotional, like grim tone almost, which I like. I mean, you guys know. I don't mind. Yeah, I didn't really have that many notes for this one because I was just kind of very enthralled, like curious about these characters' history, their backstories, the music. I mean, you guys are probably sick of hearing me say this. I need to start a tally for how many times I have said that the music was by far like one of the most epic parts of the episode, but I mean, it's the case for all of them. The music in this one especially, like truly enhanced the build-up that ensued in this final showdown here. I want to go back and rewatch that. That was a very great combat scene. I enjoyed that. And of course, the emotional kind of when he accidentally like stabs this girl, and I think it becomes evident here, at least what I'm interpreting. It seems like from the flashback that they had that he was a Jedi assigned to protect her or serve as protection, a bodyguard type situation, since she is royalty. It seems like obviously they have a history and perhaps some sort of connection. But again, I wish they had elaborated on that a little bit more so that I'm not risking, is it just me interpreting that they were perhaps romantically, they had a crush on each other? But that's what I interpreted. He, accidentally hurts this woman and has clearly been having visions of accidentally doing this. Whoa, okay. This show, Star Wars Visions, the last episode has to do with all these dudes' visions. Okay. But yeah, I just realized that the entire time he's having these premonitions and these kind of nightmare, disorienting dreams that totally like wipe him out. This conflict with his supposed destiny and what is in store for him and how he can avoid it. And in his efforts to avoid his destiny and his fate, he accidentally does the one thing that he was trying to avoid the whole time. Yo, this episode totally, come on, so in tune with the themes in Revenge of the Sith. This Jedi trying to protect a person he loves, trying to avoid these nightmares and these haunting visions that he keeps having of somebody, potentially her, dying. And in the efforts to avoid that, what happens? He accidentally kills her. That was that's when it hit me. I was like, my gosh, they did not hold back on this final episode. This is like Revenge of the Sith up in here. I mean, it was great. It was sad, but it was great. It's the same premise. In the efforts to avoid his destiny, he just brings it upon him. It happens anyway. Poor dude. But yeah, that was a very shocking moment. And of course, at the end there, plot twist, he was able to do what Anakin couldn't. Well, no, this is exactly the same situation. Never mind. He teams up with the enemy and says, I will do whatever you ask if you can just help me save her. It's literally what Anakin does. I mean, kind of a reverse situation here. He's pulling a Ben Solo to literally bring her back to life, but it's the same situation as Anakin. And this ending was so grim and so sad that he like signs himself over here. He does it for this woman that I'm telling myself he loved her, okay? Why else would you do that? If you didn't love this person, or if he is still kind of morally bound to her, they ended this one off on a sad note too. They finished it off. 2 really sad episodes back to back. They get you, and they get you with this really sad ending, and then you're like, oh my god, it's over. So yes, now I am sad. I have finished all of them, but I'm so ready to go back and rewatch all of them, and I really feel like all of these episodes are so rewatchable. I can't wait to rewatch the series all the way through. I can't wait to just go back and be able to really just digest everything and fully enjoy the music and the combat and the animation without feeling like I need to watch all these now and get it in my system before I see any spoilers. But yes, that's it. I'm sad it is over, but I don't know. Should I do a final review, guys, of my final thoughts? I mean, I really don't think there's anything else I have to say other than I thought this show was phenomenal. I don't want to keep repeating it because it's going to lose its value and it's just going to sound like a broken record, but truly, I'm so grateful that we have this in Star Wars, in our Star Wars content now. This has honestly been some of my favorite content to come out of Star Wars, and I'm just so obsessed with all of it. Just show us some new stories, and that is what I've been wanting out of Star Wars. And so I'm truly hoping with all of my heart Disney Plus decides to renew Visions for another season, or ideally like many more seasons. Honestly, if they were to release more, I would watch it in a heartbeat, and I wish the same for you guys. I hope that for those of you who've been watching, that you've been enjoying and having a wonderful experience. Let me know which episode, if you had to choose, was your favorite. It's like having to choose a favorite child. You can't. They're all so perfect and different and unique in their own way. Disney Plus, please, if you can hear me, I am sending a message to you through the Force that I need more. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for watching these reviews. I enjoy hearing what everybody else has been having to say about the show, and I truly hope that you guys have enjoyed these reviews. Hope you guys have been doing so well, and of course, let me know your thoughts down below. As always, may the Force be with you guys always, and I will see you guys again very soon. Bye, guys.